News with Grad. News with Gina Grad. Breaking, viral, weird crime, protest, politics. Give me news with Gina Grad. Stuff they saw on TMZ. Joe Biden, Kamala. Meet news with Gina Grad.
The News with Gina Grad.
It's political ad campaign season, and there's all kinds. We've seen, the props and the say yes and the say no, and this candidate's great and this candidate's the worst. That's the season we're in. But
you mentioned props. How long have guns been making an appearance in the political ads? Because it feels like
you're talking about propositions.
As props.
I know she said props. May think of.
I thought you meant like holding an AR-15, being like vote
that
for
is
me.
exactly what
That's
I mean.
what he means.
That feels like that came in a couple of cycles ago, and now it's ubiquitous.
Yes, I think you're right about that.
And it seems mostly like chicks shooting guns.
There is a lot of that.
Well, remember, Sarah Palin probably started that off in the hot bikini shot with the gun.
Oh, really?
Unless I'm thinking of the porn version. I thought that was a real picture.
Could be thinking.
She never said I can see Russia from my house, so you never know. But didn't she have like a hot American flag bikini, and then she posed with a gun, and that was like a whole thing?
I don't know.
Or is this a fever dream I had one day? Well, Ben will show us.
I interrupt your story.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because there is a new candidate who's making all kinds of waves. Mike Itkes, a Manhattan congressional candidate. He released a full-on sex tape starring himself.
All right.
And it has earned him droves of attention. He's the liberal independent candidate. I'm only showing you a picture of him and then I can't remember her name, but I might have it written. Oh, Nicole Sage, who's a porn star, with their clothes on. I watched it. Have to go to Pornhub. 13 minutes of that dude screwing that girl. Full on 13-minute porno.
Is that the same girl?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's amazing what we can do with makeup.
The Duke would not abide.
No, the Duke would not abide. He's running for New York's 12th congressional district seat, facing some tough odds to beat the incumbent, Jerry Nadler. But let me tell you about this guy.
Why is Jerry Nadler still doing things?
This is his competition.
Oh, my God.
So he wants to make America more sex positive. And that he's sort of putting his balls where his mouth
fit on
are.
a hat.
His platform supports abortion rights, gun control, and not having to pay child support without prior agreement. So he has a lot of passions. Mm-hmm. And this video is called the Bucket List Bonanza. Sounds like something he's always wanted to do.
Great.
He said he did it as a conversation piece. And again, there's really nothing from this video that I can put up.
All right.
It's full out.
Did one
full glitz.
And he shot this as the campaign commercial. It wasn't.
Yeah, she gets on at the beginning and says, like, this is my name. I wasn't coerced into doing this. I know who I'm doing. This is Mike Itkes. And does the whole vibe.
So
and then
this isn't archival footage that he's repurposing.
This is for the campaign.
Wow.
And I mean, everything comes off. You could tell. It's like for a lot of people's weddings, they'll take a couple of dance classes for their big. Mm-hmm. I feel like he may have gotten some pointers because he does a couple of different like.
How's he look nude?
White.
Nadler's not getting any votes if he goes and mounts a chick. That much I can tell you.
He just looks like a dude. I don't know.
You guys remember when Nadler was 450 pounds?
No.
Was he the guy that lost all that weight?
He had lap band surgery or something. He was a limp back like in the 90s, and now he got the lap band thing, which I will say this, losing 20 pounds makes everyone look better. Losing 220 pounds somehow doesn't help. Uh-huh. And I don't know what it is. You think it would just work that much better than the 20 pounds?
Deflated balloon.
There's something, but he used to be a load.
Rotund?
I guess he must have had that surgery. He had the rotund thing where he had the pants pulled up real high, like Chris Christie does.
He was bigger than Chris Christie.
Oh yeah, where the panice pushes out below the belt, where you don't want your belt to essentially become a river in the bottom of a canyon.
Right.
You know what I mean? You want it to be on the outer
Indention.
edge, not. You shouldn't have it sloping down above it and below it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if
the
you,
Sarah Palin bikini was a funny or die
that wasn't
parody.
real.
See,
There's no picture ever of her in that bikini with a gun. Okay, that's the Mandela effect.
Yeah, she did it for the Funny or Die thing, though.
It was
she did
her.
do it.
I
She did
see.
do it.
Okay, gotcha.
Oh,
Thank
okay.
you. It was her. So you can look for that, search that on your own. Bucket List Bonanza. It is not on YouTube. You are going to have to go to a porn site because it is the whole thing. Yeah.
wow.
I mean,
Did he do any of that stuff where he? Because then, as a politician, at some point, you got to go. As a father, as a husband, as a leader in this community. I mean, he couldn't have given that speech
I don't
after
think
the
so.
porn, right?
No,
Kills
he's
the
like an
vibe.
army, like a former army security guy. He doesn't talk about the platform while he's coming. It just kind of is what it is. And he really, really gives it to her.
Wow.
All right.
And I'm guessing she's got his vote, right? I mean, or she's
What a
just a
betrayal.
gun for hire.
She could be a gun for hire. Okay. So, yeah, seek that out if you'd like. So Kanye West might be off Twitter, but you can't keep him off Parler because he bought it.
What?
Yeah.
Did I learn Parler was still around?
Yeah. The conservative social media platform announced that it has entered into an agreement in principle to sell Parler to Kanye. He was locked out of Twitter last week for the anti-Semitic post, which he's continued to bring up on different interviews. I don't know if you watched that clip from Drink Champs, but he continues to go on off the rails about it. Details of the deal have not been disclosed, but it's expected to close by the end of the year. And this is kind of a fun fact. You're thinking okay, maybe, but how do we get from Kanye to Parler? Parler CEO George Farmer is the husband of Candace Owens. And now he's kind of buddy-buddy with Candace Owens.
Oh, is he English?
I don't
George
know.
Farmer?
Don't know.
I think I've met him before. Wow. When I was doing that race last weekend, there was a funky guy and not the usual crew that I see at these races. And he was driving something insane, which he was driving a VW Bug, which you never see. I've seen one other time. There were a couple.
Souped up?
Oh, yeah. It wasn't
Not the
souped up.
ones that my friends drove in college?
No, but as souped up as you can make a VW Bug. I think you'll see pictures of Steve Smith and his VW Bug out there. As much as you can possibly soup up a VW Bug, it can still not be competitive in this run group. But once in a while, you'll see the guys out there, and they're like, fuck it, I'm running my VW Bug. And he was out there running, and nice, but, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds a lap off, which is, if you're
a lot.
5 seconds, you're falling way off. But if you're 15, there's problems. But he's going as fast as you can go in a VW Bug. And he's clearly a quirky dude. And he comes up and starts talking to me. And he tells me he's Kanye's lead design guy. Right? Yeezy, lead whatever.
Shoes?
And then he says, yeah, and I talk to Kanye all the time.
Well, there you go.
I said, you do? He goes, yeah. He took a picture of the both of us, and he sent it to Kanye, and Kanye sort of wrote back, hey, there you are at the track.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So even closer to how that even happened.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Never seen the guy at any of these races ever, but he just showed up with this VW Bug, this crazy Bug.
I mean, it's cute.
Yeah.
It's very cute.
It's the
Herbie?
fastest you can make a VW Bug. That's what I will say about
Sure.
it.
James Corden, boy, is he lucky for these fast news cycles.
Did he write something? No, that's him.
Oh, we're looking at.
Yeah. That's what he say, Chris? Sorry, it's him going through the corkscrew at.
Yeah, at Velocity, and he is he's the lead designer, I believe, of Donda and Yeezy.
Oh.
He works at Donda, Yeezy, New Balance, Reebok, Nike, Adidas
Damn.
Design, VW, Porsche. outlaw and lunatic. That's his Instagram bio.
So weird hodgepodge of quiet, successful guys out there for the most part. Like most guys, they all had a business and sold it, made a ton of money, or they own a winery or something. It's a group of successful guys who want to do this stuff, but they can afford it.
Wow.
So, yeah, fun guy.
Okay. Well, James Corden was publicly banned from a chain of high-end restaurants in New York City and then publicly welcomed back, all in the span of like a few hours. Chef and restaurateur Keith McNally posted on Instagram on Monday that 2 incidents in which Corden was exceedingly rude to the waitstaff at his restaurant Balthazar. McNally dubbed Corden a tiny cretin of a man and the most abusive customer to my Balthazar servers since the restaurant opened 25 years ago.
What did I say about dancing?
I
What?
know.
And
That's why
not
I brought
only
it
just
up.
him breaking into dance all the time, but
But he sings in cars.
yes,
Yeah.
the big karaoke dancing. But it's not just that. The dancing, like, you got Ellen, you got Bill Cosby, and now we got James Corden over here. They're always assholes because this is the thing, like, if I go to a wedding, someone goes like, let's dance. I might dance, but I probably go like, no, but I'm also like, I don't need to advertise this thing to people to make them. It's the gregariousness too. It's like, oh, I mean, if you guys
The quiet evil.
go back and watch Rosie's syndicated talk show from the early 90s and see a completely different human being.
Slingshot koosh balls.
It's completely, well, what was that human being? That human being was the one she wanted us to see because she was suppressing the real Rosie, which she's now let fly.
Sure. So I'll give you the gist of the complaints. So the first incident was Corden allegedly found a hair in his food and threatened to write bad reviews if they didn't keep comping his drinks. The second incident happened when he was...
Can I say this? Oh, whether it's getting thrown off of a commercial flight or thrown out of a restaurant, or it's like, what must you have to do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I've been in 2 billion restaurants. The most I've ever gotten into is like, we did order the drink a half hour ago. Could you bring it around? And they just go, yeah, I'll bring it around. Or I want a lemon, not a lime. But what is that?
Yeah. You really got to work at it.
Yeah, you really got to go after this again and again. I got the impression in multiple instances.
Well, and I'm going to tell you the other incident, but I'm glad you brought up airplanes. Hold on to that because there's another great story. But the second incident, he and his wife went there for brunch and she ordered an egg yolk omelet, which I'm sure Vinny would fucking love, and salad. But they found
egg yolk omelet?
Egg yolk omelet.
Didn't know that was a thing.
But she found a little spot of white in it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't totally
God.
egg yolk.
Oh,
so they sent it back.
Yeah.
The server brought it back with potatoes instead of a salad.
Oh my God.
And Corden allegedly started saying like, "You're bad at your job. What do I have to go back there and cook it myself?" And made a big stink.
Also, when you're super recognizable,
Yeah.
don't you want to tamp
Play
that
it
stuff
down.
down?
Pro.
Yes.
So to sort of pacify him, they offered him 2 promotional champagne glasses from the restaurant and profusely apologized. And that's when Keith, who owns the restaurant, was like, enough. Let me tell you about this guy. So once the news picked this up, apparently Corden called him directly, profusely apologizing. And then
Fat guy wants a restaurant.
Keith
Gotta get those
McNally
egg yolks.
put
Yeah.
back up there. He's welcome back now. He apologized.
Called him a
And-
cretin.
Yeah. But this is so it's kind of setting the table. Now this is unconfirmed. But meanwhile, the
Can
story
I say this?
Yes.
I feel like making an egg white omelet is a lot easier than an egg yolk omelet because I could separate the yolk more easier than I could not having a trace of white
Right.
in my yolk.
Right.
That's a tall order.
Yeah.
By the way, who wants that?
I mean, then don't put it on the menu because I've been to Pastis, one of his restaurants. It's a lot of work.
All right.
But you're right. So there's this website, Pop Bitch, and it tells the story about Corden that is, again, unconfirmed, but pretty funny. And somebody who posted
I
it on
did
Twitter.
tell you a year ago on this show that I was sitting with a bunch of Hollywood writer types and folks that had lived in the late night world and stuff like that. And they're like, oh, you don't know that? Oh, that guy's an asswife. Like they were telling me, which you go, like you do this thing where you go, well, that's just 8 guys. It's like, does anyone ever say that about Fonzie or Bryan Cranston or Phil Rosenthal?
Never.
Nobody would
Consensus
ever.
is consensus, good and bad.
Yeah, so this is a perfect example of the story I'm going to tell you. If it's even possible that it could have been him, it might have happened. So this story's great. Somebody wrote half hour, it's like a blind item type thing, but half hour into a New York to London flight, passengers in business class notice a woman with a crying baby being brought through the curtains by a flight attendant. They looked on in mild horror as they saw the attendant direct her to an empty seat next to James Corden. Expecting a huge celebrity hissy fit, Corden's cabin mate were impressed to see that he didn't say a word or make any sort of complaint. He simply put on a pair of noise-canceling headphones, pulled his eye mask over his eyes, and turned away from her to sleep. Now, the punchline is...
Someone's doing some work.
When it was finally time to get off the plane, the woman asked him to get the bags from overhead, to get her bag, completely ignored her. And then she said something to the effect of, Jesus Christ, could you at least hold the baby while I do it? It was his baby. That was his wife.
Calls coming from inside the house.
So she's in coach. She's put in first class next to him. He puts his noise-canceling headphones on and his eye mask, goes to sleep for the duration, and then ignores her as she's trying to get the bags, allegedly. Confirmed.
I'm trying to think, who
knows?
Who is actually a nice person who pedals that nice person bike pretty hard and pushes it out? Like Howie Mandel is kind of that guy. He is a exquisit's nice guy.
But how hard does he work to push it?
I don't think it. I mean,
don't
it's
think
pretty
they have
organic and pretty natural. But he's. And I'm not saying it's a false attitude. I'm just saying they're guys like Harlan Williams, super nice, and then they come across that way.
Right.
So, but when you see the saccharine sweet really shoving it out there, that's when you gotta get a little suspicious. You know, I mean, like Bryan Cranston's a super nice guy, but he just kind of comes across as who he is.
What about someone like Shaq, who's always paying for people's stuff and paying for the restaurant, and somebody's putting their ring on layaway, he hands them cash and walks away, that kind of thing?
Shaq, to me, has a little boy trapped inside of a giant man's body kind of vibe. There occasionally you run into guys that have that sort of little boy type mentality.
He has, ironically, an impishness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
7'1".
Well, like, what would you do, if you were 9 years old and someone said, you have $1 billion? Like, what would you, I'd go into the jewelry store and just buy that guy a ring, like these kind of impulses. Yeah. So it feels like it's like child's play with him.
But it's very sweet. His answer is always kind of like, I do this all the time. Just take it. It's kind of cool. Some sad Selma Blair news, but I guess I think that we all had a little bit of like a little surprise when we heard she was going to be on Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah, because she has MS.
Yes, and it was pretty aggressive for a while. She danced her last dance on Dancing with the Stars this week before announcing she has to leave the show due to health concerns. The actress, she teared up as she told her partner, Sasha Farber, she's been monitored and in touch with her doctors, and the MRI results suggest that she should probably stop. Here's Selma providing a little more information. What doctor signed off on this to begin with?
Yeah, that's suspicious.
Because she was doing they did a montage.
It's her choice.
Oh, for sure. But there was a montage that was like Muppets and they're like jumping around and an overalls.
They have mafia doctors. That Ferdy Pacheco, he was the fight doctor. He's all these fight doctors. They must have dance doctors.
Sure.
Dance doctor.
It's going there like this person's not fit to dance, but you go to the dance doctor, he'll sign off on it.
Point.
That was Piven and Heat. Remember, he was the mob doctor.
Yeah.
He fixed
there must be dance.
That's right.
There's got to be dance doctors out there.
Well, you were there.
It's funny. Everyone gets injured in Dancing with the Stars.
Well, because they're not used to it.
I just kind of sailed right through it.
Well, you have to be there a number of weeks.
You got to be there a number of weeks.
Well, here's a little clip of her. They needed a very...
I did, as discussed on previous podcasts, I did pitch an epic fit in the asshole star department, but that was just because I wanted to do my unicycle reveal, and they wouldn't let me do it. Whenever I see one of those OTFs, those on the flies or whatever, they're talking about what's coming up. It's all the roll-in package before the dance begins. I just said, no unicycle talk, big reveal. And they just kept coming at me. Like, we want to get you footage of you practicing with the unicycle before the big unicycle reveal. The whole point was my partner was going to dance out there alone for 20 seconds, and then I was going to come out from the wings as Zorro. But if you show it during the roll-in package, then everyone knows where I am and what's about to happen. Had a discussion 26 times with a woman from Florida.
Oh, and it all went super well?
In the end.
At a certain point, I literally started screaming at her. I told everyone on the set, I said, hold your ears. This is not my normal MO, but we're now there. Oh, it's on, like Reggie in Flubber. No, in
Love Flubber.
Oh, God. Well,
Nutty Professor?
Nutty Professor. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah, the insulting.
At a certain point, it was on. I was throwing the karate moves and everything. I was like, everybody, just hold your ears. This is not what I do. And then I was like, I just fucking started screaming at her.
Wow.
Yeah, she couldn't stop. She couldn't stop. It was crazy. It was crazy. I laid the premise out of why she needed to stop with the unicycle stuff, and she wouldn't.
She had the one idea, the one track.
She wouldn't stop. Although, I got 1,000 tweets yesterday of a beaver trying to build a dam.
I saw that too.
And I've said all the time, producers, program directors, they're beavers, and they do what they do. And if you put them on top of the Empire State Building, they would start looking for wood to build a dam. And this is what she was doing. She's like, we must film the unit. I'm like, you would destroy the whole concept of the reveal in the bit if you did this. She never understood it, which is weird. And then later on, she would ask me again, like, can we get some unicycle, whatever. The good news is you cannot force someone to ride a unicycle against their will. You can have sex with them. You can force feed them.
Steal from them.
You can do prepared statements from Al-Qaeda and things like that, but you cannot force a person to ride a unicycle if that person says, I shall not mount that unicycle. You can't do it for her. So, and later on, she would keep coming to me and she'd go, now we can get you on the unicycle? And I would say, oh, this is for the post package or the after package? She'd go, no, it's for the
pre-commercial.
And I would just go, how can I? It's weird when you can't convey an idea and this person's in the business.
A fairly simple concept.
Yeah.
Yes.
Straightforward.
Here's the beaver that
Just
is
in like
building a dam in a doorway.
Yeah.
My guy's on a unicycle.
He's got his little twigs. He's
a little twigs.
pushing him over.
He's pushing him over.
Yeah, the beaver's in a rehab facility.
It was nice of him
was he
to
a
bring him
drinker?
wood.
He's
Gina, please.
putting there's an open door, and he's
what he
a
does.
beaver, and
Sex rehab.
beavers build dams. Now, you look at it and you go, completely unnecessary. But what do you think lawyers do who work for networks? You know what I mean? They tell you can't do stuff. That's just...
Oh, he's hopping.
That's what people do with their... We have 10 million laws in California. Why? Because the city
that's what beavers
council and the legislators are making laws. That's what they do. We elect them, we put them there, and they start coming up with shit, whether we want it or not. And at some point, we run out of, speeding, setting speed limits and how old you can be to drink or smoke. And then we get down to third aisles for like bi-curious toddlers and stuff because they're out. And my thing is, it's just then stop. If you're out of
Job
stuff,
well done.
no, they're going to
Give yourself a pat on the back.
No, we got more to do. All right. Well, what was the end of her stuff?
I mean, if you want to see a
right.
nice waltz, although the song is so fucked out, but good for her for dancing. It's very gentle. It's a waltz. She's not having to do the crazy stuff.
She looks good.
Yeah.
It's an experience, man. I would recommend it to anybody.
I was there. Dawson, you were there too, right?
Yeah. I should have gotten a haircut. I was famously sat right between Lynette and Jimmy's heads. So my face, my horrible haircut was right there.
Oh boy. So a very dear friend of mine is a dancer, and she loves to dance and like do couples dancing. She just
I
started.
don't trust that bitch.
It's Andy Parker's daughter, Lindsay, and she started at Arthur Murray with her UFO. She started at Arthur Murray with her
the drummer from UFO.
fiance, yeah,
Right.
and it sounds really fun. I think me and Andy are going to do it.
It's good.
Look, we didn't do it for the wedding. For us, that wasn't a thing. But now I think it'd be fun to learn to dance.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's good just to do something different
Yeah.
and work up a sweat and bond with your mate and all that kind of stuff.
If you never speak about it again, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'll sign off. Yeah, just don't discover the majesty of it.
I can't wait for the next cruise.
Oh, no.
All right, let's bring it home, Gina Grad.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
I'm against gay marriage. Boom.
Gina Grad.
That was the news with Gina Grad.
Oh, God. San Diego Mic Drop coming up October 28th and 29th, doing some live pod there and some stand-up there. Wise Guys Comedy Club coming up, doing a live pod there in Vegas. St. Louis Helium Comedy Club, November 11th and 12th. So just go to adamcarolla.com for all the live stuff. Jensen Button, race car driver and heartthrob. The Williams Racing Experience, that's going to open today through Sunday in downtown Austin, so check that out. Ethan Wayne's got a pod out, John Wayne Gritcast. You'll find that wherever you listen to finer podcasts. And until next time, it's Adam Carolla for Ethan Wayne and Jensen Button. Gina Grad and Paul Ryan saying mahalo.